I was doing a casual deep dive on the childfree Reddit page and I came across this. And I have not read this yet, but that title feels like this is going to resonate very deeply in my spirit and probably in the spirit of a lot of the people that follow this page. So let's read this together. Let's read this together. Also, hi, my name is Shayna. For those of you who are new here, I talk a lot about child-free living, also about decentering men, and I'm a journalist. So, and I talk about the intersections of all of these things, do occasional historic deep dives, political deep dives, all that great stuff. So if that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. Now, let's all be sad together. Baby Eldrizay. Baby Eldrizay. All right, here we are. Nothing makes my blood boil more than people assuming I have kids because I'm a black woman. We are ranting today, BBL Jersey. So sorry. God, so sorry. Staying focused. Okay. It is so disrespectful. Seriously, it is so disrespectful that as I get older, I'm in my mid-20s. The question isn't, do you have kids, but how many kids do you have? I don't know if I'm allowed to curse here. I don't know, like on this platform, I don't know. Somebody let me know if me saying no words is gonna get me flagged, so I'm just gonna censor it. I effing hate it. The other day I was working in the ER and I had an older black man ask me how many kids I had. I tell him 0. And that being a mother doesn't interest me. He responds with, you look about 25 and you don't have kids? It'll happen soon. You know how we are? Like, what the F does that even mean? Exactly. You know how we are. Ew. I don't know if he's implying that like black people just always have kids super young, or when he says we, is he talking about men? Like a man is just gonna find her. Oh my God, don't threaten her like this. I hate that when people see me as a black woman, it's just assumed that I'm running around sleeping with multiple men and popping out children irresponsibly. I know many black women and none of them are even like that. My God. This is all so relatable. Even the way that this is written makes me feel like I'm saying this. Also, I had a coworker, older black woman, ask me the same question. Then she asked me if my siblings had kids. I tell her that we all don't have kids and I'm not married. She goes on to say, well, what do y'all do? What do y'all do all day? Read the Bible? Then she says it's just a matter of time before it catches up to you. Once again, someone else assuming that I'm unmarried and without kids, that I'm just running around effing anything that moves. And there's a specific kind of, this is me talking now. There's a specific kind of insidiousness that this is because it's coming from within the community. It's coming from people that should be elders, should have enough wisdom to know better, to help guide the upcoming generation so that way we can live in our fullness and our freedom. And they're just, when I say ooga booga, there's a lot of booga that can come your way, and it's always heartbreaking when it comes from a woman. Absolutely Neanderthal mentality. Let's continue. Then this morning I went grocery shopping and checking out. A middle-aged white woman starts talking to me, asking what I do. I tell her I work part-time as a nurse, which is 8 days a month. She responds, wow, how do you support your kids working only 8 days a month? I know things are rough for you. I tell her I don't have kids, so I don't need to work as much for my needs and expenses. She gets quiet and looks confused. Like the light switch probably went off and on. Black lady, no kids, but you black lady. You black lady, so must have kids, but no kids, black lady. Oh my God. It's not just older people who say this either. There's some dude who had to be in his 20s send me a DM on Instagram saying he would date me, but I have kids and that's why he doesn't date black women. Jesus. 1, I don't know this guy, never asked him to date me. And 2, he was also black. Way to uplift negative stereotypes about your own community, buddy. Oh my God. The absolute dissonance, the absolute self-hate, the internalized racism of it all. Oh my God. quick story time, my story time. When I was like 18, 19, my grandfather, my mom's dad, had a medical episode, and everybody was like super concerned, and like the whole family basically took him to the hospital, except for my youngest cousin, Jaden. And he was in first grade, second grade at the time. I was about like 19 years old. So the family went with grandpa, and I stayed with Jaden because he was being taken care of by, and still is being taken care of by, my grandparents. Papa's fine now. But it was my job to get Jaden ready for school and to take him to school, right? I'm 18, 19. He's like 7, like 7, 8, somewhere around there. So a baby and another baby, right? Give or take 10 years in between. So I get him ready for school. We get him something quick to eat. I realize that there's not enough for like him to have lunch in the school, like for me to make him lunch. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pick up something at the grocery store before we head out. The way that everybody was looking at me like I was his mother. Like I was his mother. I would have had to have him when I was 9 or 10. And I looked like a baby. And he was obviously a baby. I really just had to look at people within my own Black community looking at me. Oh. Has it never crossed your mind that that I might not be a mom? I don't think that a white duo in this situation would have had the same looks of disgust and aghastness that I had. None. One of the stores that we walked into actually denied me like how, like I wanted to buy him like a sandwich for lunch, and the way that they just refused to service me at the counter. It was fascinating. I was like, oh my God. Is this the kind of treatment that supposedly young mothers gets? Or is it just, I'm like, there's so many interrelations of just terrible treatment. This whole thing is resonating way too much. Let's just continue. Just tired of being perceived so poorly. Yeah. There's even times where people would assume I was lying about not having kids because I'm embarrassed about being a single mother. WTF is going through people's heads? I could Hulk punch every one of them. The single mom stigma alone as a Black woman is one of the reasons I will never have children. The smug satisfaction these weird red pill bros have when they think someone's a single mom would be too much for me to bear. This all resonates, and we're going to dive into a comment or two that I would like to expound upon. But it's hard enough being a woman. It is hard enough being a mom. Add Black on top of that, and then add single on top of that. It's an unfathomable amount of disrespect, of lack of care, of just and it's thrust upon us even if we are not within this demographic because of racist stereotypes. Yeah. Comment number 1 that I would love to talk about right here. My husband used to have a coworker who could not wrap her mind around the child-free lifestyle. Well, what are you going to do with your time? What do you do on the weekends? What are you doing in the evenings? And on and on. It was really quite sad when you think about it. Yes, it is wild to think that people think that having kids is the only means of entertainment and fulfillment that they could have in life. Like, what is a hobby? What is a passion? What is a pastime? What is a side hustle? It's almost like people think that without children, not only do they have no purpose, but they also have nothing to do with their time. There's a complete lack of identity that comes along, and a lot of people think that they will find their identity, that they will find purpose in being a parent, that having a kid, Like, it's under that same umbrella of, oh, well, having kids will I want to have a kid so that way I'll have somebody who could love me unconditionally. Or I want to have a kid so that I could have somebody to pass on my legacy. Or I want to have a kid. It's putting so much pressure on this person that isn't even here yet, while also removing the responsibility that you are supposed to have over your life. It's removing that and placing it on a baby that just got here. Like the fact that people can't fathom that children are not supposed to be entertainment. Like, you don't just birth kids so that way you have a thing to do. It sounds like a common sense thing, but clearly it's not so common. Now, this comment right up here, bing bing, I find fascinating. So exactly my thought. Don't worry about that part. Now let's continue. Also, I don't get the dig at religion. Like, what if OP does read the Bible? Or not, that's fine. But being tolerant and respectful of other people's religion is important. So not only did breeder logic say no kids, then you have no life. And also reading a religious book isn't important either. WTF, no, people can do what they want and believe what they want. Here's what I have to say about this, because I find that this is incredibly prominent in the Black community. This idea of, oh, you don't want kids, there must be a spiritual misalignment. You don't have kids, you need to take that up with the Lord, because clearly there's something disturbed in your spirit. There's this weird kind of religious manipulation that is very intertwined. And I don't think that it's just in the Black community, but I know that's very prevalent in the Black community that comes up, especially when you get the older generation involved. But also, like, let's really what if OP does read the Bible? I grew up in Sunday school. I know too much about the Bible. What if OP did read the Bible? What if OP said, all right, if we really took into account the amount of men, women, and children that were wiped out in the Old Testament because God said enough is enough, we're not even just talking about Noah. We are talking about entire civilizations that were against the people of God. And God said, leave no person behind, man, woman, or child. What if that was my baby? What if that was my baby? Or, you know what, let's not even just focus on the Old Testament. Let's go to the New Testament. The long suffering that is supposed to come to the true followers of Christ. You look at the disciples. There was only one disciple that was killed in a relatively less terrifying way, but you're thinking stoned to death, boiled in oil, crucified upside down. Is this the kind of existence that I would like to traumatize my body to create for another person? These are the kinds of questions that they didn't want me to ask in Sunday school, which was why I was consistently called a troublesome child. But then also, let's say that OP not only doesn't read the Bible, but doesn't adhere to Abrahamic religion at all, right? This person, the older Black lady that was making all of these claims about OP, and OP's like spiritual foundations, and like, oh, so what are you gonna do? Read the Bible? If OP didn't believe in Christianity, let's say, and said that to this older woman, then that older woman would use her religion, would attach all of these negative associations of child-free people, and like the idea of like, oh, your selfishness and a rejection of good Christian morals that the old lady has. She would attach that to somebody else's belief system. Oh, you're not doing this because your belief system is messed up. You're not doing this, or even worse, you're not doing this because your belief system is demons. And this mentality is the work of demons. Yes, it happens. Yes, those bridges are connected and they need to be burned. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Did this resonate with you like it resonated with me? You know what I'm saying? Tippity type your thoughts away in the comment section, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.